Today on Return on Insights episode, it's all about leading through change. We're joined by someone who's done it at the highest level. Steve Bederman is a seasoned CEO, turnaround expert, and mentor who's helped transform companies in tech and service sectors through people-first leadership, promise-keeping cultures, and resilient, high-performing teams. Stephen shares real-world lessons from the front lines of transformation and what it takes to lead with clarity, confidence, and heart. Thank you for being here. Let's dive in.
Thanks for having me. Looking
Welcome.
forward to it. Well,
How
let's
you
get
doing?
started. Maybe I can fill in some blanks for people.
Okay, perfect. So how are you doing? Let's start there.
Well, I'm doing great. My wife and I just came back from a trip to see the World Cup football, soccer in Charlotte, where it was 105 degrees.
Oh, that's gross.
And it was miserable. I mean,
Oh,
I
I
had
can
waited
imagine.
my whole life to see the team of my dreams, and I sat out there for like 10 minutes and then wilted and had to go hide inside. But we
Oh.
had a great trip nonetheless.
So who's your favorite team? Who's the dream team?
Bayern,
Nice.
Bayern Munich.
Nice. And
They lost too. They lost, but they were tired. I mean, that is hot weather. Let me just say.
that's intense.
Yeah,
That's intense.
yeah,
We've had some quite crazy weather here as well,
yeah.
but you just adapt,
Yeah,
right? Just kind of
that's
like in
right.
business.
That's
You
right.
just
Very much.
adapt.
Same.
So I want to jump in and talk about fast-paced culture.
Okay.
And fast-paced industries because I think that everyone thinks that they work in a fast-paced industry. Everyone thinks that their company is fast-moving, but we all have our own definitions of what is fast-paced.
Yeah.
Uh, and surviving change in one of these cultures isn't easy. It's not easy to thrive in it.
Hmm.
And there's so many different factors that impact how well, how fast, and how adaptable a culture can be. What are your non-negotiables for creating successful change in a fast-moving industry? Because I know you've been in real fast industries.
They have, I also just believe that any organization, uh, you have to really consider pace. Pace
Mm,
is a fundamental core pillar that everybody leading any organization needs to account for. So even some of the slow, the staid, the assembly line kind of commoditized businesses um, need to recognize that decision making is really the key to how you pace yourself. And so adaptability is really, I think of it as it's up to the employees. In other words, they either can fit or they don't fit. In other words, I come in and I look at an organization and I bring Steve to the party. And Steve's approach is what I will lay out, which are the core values and the broad outcomes that we're looking for. And then within that context, that's non-negotiable. And part of that equates to your culture. As an example, in our company at Noble Biz, we're really built on a simple core value of make a promise and keep it,
mm,
and nothing more. Except that's sort of loaded with a lot to do, right?
yeah.
So we set that value and are uncompromising about it, and then we bring in people that will adapt to it, and that means that we have dependable, sustainable processes that can be thought of as staid and deliberate, but at the same time, every process needs to be forgotten if it conflicts with the
Yeah.
core value, which is I got to do what I need to do now for you at any cost, for any reason, because that's what I promised you. So
Right.
you have to have people that that don't get stuck in process but are willing to work within a context of it and don't get stuck because they're scared to make decisions. So the the culture that you built is one that says it's simple. Weigh every decision you make for anybody in the company against the core value. Simple.
Right.
So if I'm a support person, I don't need to ask layers and layers of management, can I spend this money or do this thing for people that we promise things to? I get to weigh it against the core value, and it's simple. I just say, well, obviously, as long as I can rationalize it against that, I'm good. And then guess what? If you make a mistake, we do that. And so as people, we have this great opportunity tomorrow. And we make new decisions. And so that's really how it works.
So it sounds a lot like a lot of from a people perspective, there's a lot of self-selection as well. So if I'm in this type of culture and I these values are very clear,
Yeah,
like they're on the wall, folks, you can read them.
right.
Um, I can self-select whether I want to stay or not, or whether I think I can manage within those values and provide value to the company. Or if I love the idea that you make a promise, you keep a promise. That's how we raised our children. So
Right,
it's such a
right,
fundamental human
right,
idea.
right.
But, the idea that people can self-select whether or not they want to be part of that culture or not, I love that idea because it gives them the authority to say, this actually isn't a fit for me. And a lot of people struggle with that.
They do,
A
but
lot of
they
people,
need a job too. And so
yeah,
what happens with that is that although on an idyllic basis, yeah, people will deselect, but they still go through the trauma of deselecting, which is I'm going to lose my job, I need my income, I have to pay my mortgage, my kids' school, health, and on and on. And
luxury to keep your job.
and I'm not good at change, or a million reasons why people don't deselect from things that are not good for them. So
Right.
what that means is that everybody in the company has to help them. And the way they help them is if you really build a passionate environment focused on a single piece, that make a promise, keep a promise, and not 12 missions in my mission
Right.
statement, but just this simple thing. And it's fairly straightforward and easy to grasp. And if everybody is being managed to work towards that, it's pretty easy for anybody to see who isn't fitting that. And when
Right.
they're not fitting that, peer group pressure, common sense, and good managers who help that person find an alternative. That has to happen.
Do people get suspicious of the idea or the value that a promise, keep a promise, that kind of
Yeah,
idea? Because it it's such an intrinsic childlike value to have that for a
right.
company to kind of come out and say, if you make a promise, you keep the promise,
Yeah.
right? It's like, whoa, whoa, right? That feels skeptical to me. That feels suspicious in a lot of ways.
I took over a company uh, in Romania, and in that, uh, our support group really wasn't embodying what I felt was critical to that common thread, and it was really laborious to get the right activity and to get them to make decisions and to feel free to make those decisions and live within the moment and not delay and understand that pace is critical to anybody using a mission critical tech like ours, and that this is like an emergency room per se, so you have to make decisions to save that life. And and it took a long time of failure on my part and our management team to understand what this disconnect was. And
Right.
one day it came to one of us, and it was and the head of support finally said what was on his mind. And he said, "You keep saying it's common sense, but
Oh,
whose common sense?
yeah.
What is your definition of a promise?" And I have to tell you, it never occurred to any of us that
No,
that
why would
was
it?
that was misunderstood. That I had to define what a promise was, and I had to define what meeting a promise is, and I then actually had to define what common sense was because it wasn't common to this person. And they weren't trying to pull our chains and try to find rationale to do less. They wanted to do more also, but they could not understand it because they thought they were doing it right, and they weren't. And it was a mind-blowing thing. To this day, I'm still conflicted about it because inevitably what we ended up having to do was change out management, and I've never felt good about that. I felt like we failed to understand what we were being asked and to get the point across.
Wow. I never, like you said, in a million years would think that, because it does seem
Yeah,
so basic,
it
right?
does, right? I the, I think of business as just the world. Here's how I look at it. The world is mediocre. Okay, that's how I see it,
Yes.
and it's mediocre because people are willing to accept less. And
Yes,
they do it
correct.
every day, including myself, who doesn't want to do it, and I still do it. And an example may be something like I go to McDonald's and they get my order wrong, and I get home and there's something less than what I ordered, and I'm upset and I'm mad, and then 2 weeks from now, I'm hungry and I'm driving by McDonald's and I go back in, and by doing that, I give them implied consent to be mediocre.
Yeah.
And so that to me is the key here, which is most things that we do in our life are transactions. We are all doing commerce in the world every day, bartering, trading, exchanging. That's what we do. The most of anything we do is has to do with transactions, and translate that to commerce, and that means that business is leading the way to mediocrity. And because we're teaching ourselves and our next generations that it's okay to accept less. It's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to redefine what excellence is and what a promise is. It's okay. Those are okay things because all of that allows us to do less than more. So we have an opportunity in business to build a business to prove, and I look at it as our business, it is mission critical. So if we can pull it off and we can do it right time in and time again and never accept failure ever, even though we may, it's not a consent to fail. And if we can do it right and we can continue to build an organization that gets bigger and bigger so that nobody can say, well, yeah, you're doing it right, but you're only a $5 million company, not $100 million. So then you got to get to $100 million company. And then the $1 billion company say, yeah, but it works for $100 million, but not $1 billion. So you're sort of driven with purpose to get bigger and bigger to prove this point. And the point is simple: do more,
Yeah.
care more, embrace your customer more, recognize that every transaction done with this determination is proving to the world that a McDonald's can do it right, and we don't have to accept more for them. And
Yeah.
I believe consumers should demand more of us, not less. And every company, if you look, I just was looking at a whole list here from Forbes' best customer service driven organizations, and I see companies on this great list that don't communicate with you. Amazon's on that list. Wow, right? Well, can you talk to Amazon? I can't talk to Amazon. I got
Is this
nobody to complain
qualifications
with.
for what put them on the list?
Yeah, well, Forbes, Forbes did it, so it must be good, right? So that the point is this world is based on saying good customer services don't communicate with me. No, it should be communicate more, embrace more, demand more,
Yes.
give more, do more. It's about more. It's at the end of every transaction you do with anybody. You should say to yourself, what else should I have done here?
Yeah.
There's always something else I should have done. And if you get a whole organization to be asking that question time and time again with all their transactions, and you grow because of it, such a compelling thing, then maybe we can teach the whole world that they can build a company like ours and do it too.
You know what? It's interesting because it's again like all these things that you're saying. There's their fundamental truths, their fundamental insights that we should have just from common sense, right?
Right.
Like I remember one of my kids coming home from grade school years and years and years and years ago, and there were all these spelling mistakes in the essay. And they got a good mark, something in the 80s, and I'm like, how can you get a mark this good with this many spelling mistakes? So when we sat down with the teacher, we're like, what's going on here?
Right.
And she said, well, we don't look for spelling. We don't check for spelling. But that's fundamental, right? It's just like those transactions. If
To me,
you're
that
going to,
makes sense.
yeah. And if you're going to miss the pickles on my burger this time, McDonald's, I'm not going to come back to you because, again, it's implied consent. We're
Exactly.
teaching kids at an early age that it's okay
Yeah.
not to deliver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And when we get to the organizational level, you've got to herd the cattle to now conform to a new idea that we need to um, care about our spelling. We need to.
We need to. We have to.
Yeah.
And so look at so the questions of how do you build this business that is collaborating on and converging with this ideal.
Yeah.
It's easy because it's life. It's getting people to recognize that every one of their behaviors was built out of a mediocre world, and that don't they want better? And if they do, they can join us. But
Yeah.
in joining us, they've got a challenge, which is I'm going to challenge their behavior every day and mine too. And that's just how it's going to go. And if you can live that and love
Yeah.
it, you can continue to do it.
And as long as what's really important there to me is if, challenging other people is easy. Challenging yourself,
Well, yeah.
that's the
Right.
hard part, right? Is
Yeah,
is
yeah.
taking a look inward and saying, am I part of the problem? Right? Am I part of living in this mediocre world and not trying for something different?
You are, and the beauty for me is that I got to at some point in my life make that choice to put that burden on me, which
Hmm.
allowed me to be as imperfect as I am, to not tolerate it at the same time, and
Interesting.
live within that conflict.
How do you do that?
You just live life. That's how we all do it. I mean, come on. We all want great stuff, and we all fail miserably at it at the same time, right?
But if
So
you've got a secret to success, we want to hear about it. At least I
yeah,
want to hear.
there is no secret. I did have a success in putting myself out there years ago. So we start this company, and it's in the same business I'm in now, a different business. We sold that one after years, but so we are small. We're, I don't know, $1 million of revenue. We have 16 people, and I cut us down to 5 because we had no money. And it was in the days where there was no recurring income, and money was just like a capital expense, and you got it, and great, you lived to fight another day, but next day there was no money. So we didn't have enough money, so we cut ourselves down to 5 of us, 5 plus me. And we sat in this tiny little conference room, and I said, look, if you want to stay, you can stay here because you're chosen to do that, because I think we feel the same about this, but I don't have any money, and and I don't know when I'm getting money, and that's just the way it is. And do you want to do that or not? And when I have money, we'll take $1 and divide it amongst us. And but I will promise you one thing, I promise. We're going to build a great business, a great corporation, an industry leading business. And we're going to do it because we just don't know how to do it. And so we're stupid enough to say we're gonna, so let's go do it. And I am the guy to lead that. And I'd never done that before, but they stayed, the all but one stayed. And we built that business. And this was the place where we were stealing pieces of broken drywall from a building site to put up on the wall here. That's how poor we were to build our own little office. And we built a $125 million a year business, a global leader in what we're doing now. And we did it based upon, I've always felt that we just believed. We put ourselves out there and said, we're going to do it. And we did it, and we did it based on meeting promises. We said a client gives us a gift of trust when they choose us, and we're going to return that gift with passion, relentless effort, integrity, sound process, and we're just going to kick ass.
I love that. I love that.
We did it.
Good for you. Gosh, I said it to someone earlier today when I was on a call with David. You're truly the best boss you've ever had, huh?
Well, for me personally, I don't think I am. Maybe David is, but I'm certainly a work in progress for sure. But I think that's the thing too. You don't want to be a leader or in management and be something special. You just want to be human, and it's just be people. Let's just be people, and let's be straight up with each other. I don't have money today. We will build a great company. Those things are equal to me. I don't have money, and we'll build a great company, and so you go do it.
Yeah.
And that's just life. I mean, I think where businesses fail is in not understand thinking they're playing a role. I always read these things, like especially on LinkedIn, where a lot of the young people talk about this, where they are uh, feeling fraudulent, like they're not really. What's that word?
Oh, imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what? Why do you think you have to play a role? I mean, I didn't have to play a role to be me at work versus me at home. I just am me doing work or me doing home. And go to work, and whatever you get, recognize that it may be new to you and there's no imposter in you at all. You're just living life the next day, doing the best you can with what you got, and be human and share information and don't hide, and learn that more is better for people than less, meaning more information. So when I run a company, and I want people to know where we stand. I want people to understand when I say I need you to do this now, here's why I need
Yes.
you. Okay. I will not tell you you can't do it, but I will tell you why I think you need to do it. And I'm not negotiating it, but next time, if we have some space, you can tell me why you should have done it differently.
So do you think that you can say all this now after working so many years? Like, the idea of just being who you are. And so I've never experienced, well, I'm not going to say I've never experienced imposter syndrome, but I'm very authentic. I show up as myself every
Yes.
day.
Yeah.
Always been who I've been, and my character is the most important thing about my career. So to me, showing up as yourself, as being a human, is critical, right? Because that's going to lead to success, which is going to lead to happiness. But is that something you've learned over your career, or did you come out the gates that way? And if a young person is listening to this and they're feeling like they've got imposter syndrome, why? Like, how can they get over it? Why are they maybe feeling it? And what would be your, recommendation?
I think the answer is stop. If that's what you are thinking, stop it. Just
Simple as
stop.
that. Stop.
Just stop. I mean, for Christ's sakes, yeah, be insecure. It doesn't mean you shouldn't be where you are.
Ah,
You got
yes.
something got you to that moment in time, so that's who you are, and what got you there was the best of you, not the best of some persona you think you have to
Yeah.
be. And then trust it. But I listen. When I was in college, I did I played music for a living. That was my first career as a singer songwriter, and I started playing in bars, and because I didn't want to work at this nursing home I was working at. And so there was a bar and I played guitar. And I asked the guy, there was an empty stage, if I could put a glass out and people could maybe give me some tips. And so I started doing that. And so the first time I got there and he gave me the stage, it was packed. And he said he didn't usually do this with the stage because he didn't need to, because he was so busy anyway. But sure, I can do the stage if I want. So I came out, nobody was used to music, and it was packed and loud. And I got out there and I was scared to death. And I looked in the mirror in that bathroom on my way out, and I had imposter syndrome, I guess, going on. And I'm like, who do I think I am doing this? I'm scared. And so I came out and I started to, and nobody saw me. I just was sitting playing and I started to play. But because nobody was listening, I was scared to stop where they would all of a sudden hear a void of music. So I just kept playing song after song after song. And finally I stopped. I just had to. I mean, I didn't know that many songs. So I finally stopped and uh, somebody yelled, "Hey, shut up and let this guy play some music. I like what he's doing," or something like that. So, um, everybody kind of slowly turns to the stage, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" Now they're looking at me, and and I suddenly lost the fakiness, and I realized that um, I was made for this.
Mm.
And I just started playing one of my songs that I wrote, and people liked it. Enough people liked it, let's say that. And the rest of the night I felt like I got in a zone.
Oh,
And when I got in the zone and people were listening, they liked it. They started filling up my cup. And so I did too. I faced that syndrome for a half hour of my time and then realized that I was best as myself. Not, I wasn't best playing one song after the other. I was best connecting with the audience, communicating as I was talking about what I wrote and stuff like that, and I just being Steve, and that's what I just did the rest of my life was Steve. It's about courage, though. You have to be okay being scared. You have to be okay being scared in front of people. You have to be okay um, uh, looking less than how you want to be looked at. You have to be okay with yourself, and that's what we teach our kids, right?
I think that is the perfect insight to end this on.
Yeah.
I actually have goosebumps
Oh, thank you.
because it just resonates,
Yeah.
right? Like I think that is the best advice I think I have ever heard someone give, to someone who's starting out and that feels that way. So thank you, Steve. Everything you've shared today has been eye-opening, insightful. And I know people, when they hear it, are going to fall in love, not just
Yeah.
with you, but the message, the content that, this conversation. So
Well, I
thank you.
hope even one person, gets something of value. I mean, it's kind of what you
Two
hope
people,
for,
because I did. Two people.
right?
Yeah,
Well,
three people, the third, yeah.
thank
But
you for
this was
that.
fantastic. And I've got so many other questions for you and, experiences I want to share with you. So thank you.
Yeah.
Maybe we could do this again one day.
I would love to do that, Aaron.
Tell you
And thank
about
you for
me
having
being
me.
in a call center. and
Yeah.
how I performed.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll
Well,
share that with you one day.
me too. After music, I became a call center agent.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll swap stories.
Yeah. Yeah. Those
Well,
were
thank
hard times, right?